Going to assist me in the Q&A portion. So she has a few questions she's going to ask. I hope I studied them properly. And she don't stray away from what we initially planned.
You can't, look, just go with
Just
the
kidding,
flow.
just
Okay.
kidding.
This doesn't work.
It's working.
Is it?
It's
Okay.
on.
So, yes, I'm Dr. Bahia Overton. I run the Black Parent Initiative, and I'm excited to be here with Patrick Shaw. He is my partner, but also I'm really proud of the work that he's doing here to help Black men and fathers of color. So I have a couple questions for you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
First question is really what inspired you to do this work?
That's a great. I kind of pick and choose which direction I want to come from when I start talking about inspiration, because is so many reasons I was inspired. But the main reason I was inspired was when I think about the complexities that I dealt with once I had a divorce. My divorce was amicable. She and I got along. We didn't have no issues. The issue started when she ended up moving away to a whole nother state. And that's where I had to make the tough decision of, do I contest her leaving or do I allow her to go? And that decision was tough because my work schedule was so crazy to the point to where I could be on call. My job, they didn't look at it as, oh, well, where's mom? They never considered I'm a single dad. So if I have to leave, I have to leave. So my job was actually threatened during that time. And so trying to make that decision to figure out how do I balance the two, it seemed impossible. So really I gave in to say, all right, let's have a plan in place to where now you and I can have visitation rights that are amicable and equitable between the two. Fast forward, that really wasn't happening. And so I became really depressed around that time. I didn't know I was depressed. And the reason I didn't know I was depressed because I was working out, I was eating properly, and I was real lean. And I'm like, oh, I'm feeling myself. But I was lethargic, I was sick. And so one day I actually almost passed out. And so at that time I went to the doctor. Doctor said, hey, you have high blood pressure as well as you're dehydrated. And at that moment, I really started to pay attention to how stressed out and depressed I really was at that time. So I immediately started going to therapy. I went to a non-religious therapist, and then I also went to a church therapist because I do believe that my spiritual connection with God is important. But there are also some key tools that I learned from a non-spiritual therapist as well. And so, again, I'm getting long-winded answering this, but there's so many reasons why dads really need to be having an advocate and have an organization that really understands it's not just about trying to avoid child support. It's really about what are your father's or what are your parental rights, and what does a family look like if we have dads that are involved, and the impact that has not only just in the household, but also in the community itself.
Thank you. So one of the reasons why I support the work, I have a parent organization, but we're very mother focused. We have doulas, we have home visitors, all very much focused on supporting mothers primarily. And that's, typically who shows up to our programming. That's typically who we get referred, right? I know Royal works for Healthy Birth Initiative, right? And so Healthy Birth Initiative, they refer a lot of their pregnant moms to us. And so we get a lot of referrals that way, but in general, when we do our community events, our Thanksgiving, all that, we have just a lot of representation of mothers. And we have been, in some ways in social service, normalizing the absence of fathers in the space, the absence of men and their voices. We talk a lot about toxic masculinity, but masculinity by itself is not toxic. There's toxicity that can be demonstrated by anybody. But we're really trying to reframe that. And so I think when I think about the challenges that I recognize in our families, I want to know what you think are the biggest challenges that are facing fathers in 2024.
That's a softball question.
One of the biggest challenges is when we think about a family, just like you stated, fathers are excluded from that picture, especially within the Black community. And so therefore, 4Fathers wants to change that stigma and that narrative. First off, I love that the CDC finally came out and said that 60% of Black fathers are more involved than any other race. So the deadbeat dad stigma can be put to rest because we now have data that actually points out that we're more active than any other race. Number two is we actually do show up. We actually do care, and we actually do want to be involved in our children's lives. And the reality of it is that mainstream media paints this picture about who we are and what we are. And as I look around this room, I see businessmen, I see entrepreneurs, I see program managers, I see CEO, just you can go down the list, and making sure that we change that stereotype and that stigma about what fathers contribute to a family, but also especially Black fathers, what we contribute to this conversation. I want to make sure that we start changing that and making sure that we turn that around. But again, the data is starting to surface where we're talking about fathers are more or just as impactful to the family dynamic as mothers are. And again, one thing you'll learn about me, I don't want to have any conversation that is dogging women or putting them down. There's some challenging women out there, just like there's some challenging men out there. The reality of it is that we have to figure out what's best for the children and center the children. If we can both go to therapy if necessary, then we have a better chance. But this conversation around, well, she did this or he did that, it's not going to solve anything for anybody. So the reality of it is that we all need to be better. We all need to be healthy. We all need to be whole. And so, again, that's a part of the narrative that I want to shift and change.
So just to sum that up, the challenge is the narrative.
the challenge is the narrative.
Okay, that's a big
Shifting
challenge.
the narrative,
Okay,
yes.
That's good. All right, let's just make sure we got back to make sure we answer the question. Okay,
Thank you.
so I have one more question for you. Well, you suggested that I not add on, but I'm going to add on anyway. And that is that.
See, women don't.
Don't you try it. Don't try it. Anybody who knows me knows that won't work. No. What I want to know is, I think one of the things that we focus on at BPI is beaming love and light to people. Like beaming to people and reflecting to them what their potentialities are. Like I see you and the beauty and potential in you. So it's not that I think that you are deficient or broken in some way. I know that you have everything that you need to thrive, right? I know that, and we know that. And so part of, I think, that shifting in the narrative is to paint a picture of what you get when you have a father. You know, there's a lot of stuff that you hear about when fathers aren't there, you have this, when fathers are absent. But what do you get? What does the community gain from engaged, active fathers and Black fathers?
Absolutely. Fathers are fun. I mean, we're placed in a position of being the disciplinary, and sometimes children don't like that, and therefore, very young, they can create this idea that dad might be mean, dad might be too strict. But the dads that find the balance between the two, they're as enjoyable as mom. And so when I think about, again, a lot of the dads that I know that are in, my circle, that are in this room, dads are fun. And we have the opportunity to really have an impact by stating, or not just stating, but by exemplifying that we have the ability to be able to be nurturers. We have the ability to be able to help them in learning situations. We have the ability to be able to be providers, as well. But it doesn't stop there. The equality or the equitable relationship between both parents, it has to be a balance. There's things that mom can't provide that dad can, and there's things that dad can't provide that mom can. And I think about it, one of the, I guess a metaphor or an analogy, however you want to look at it, dads are kind of like that pinky toe. You don't know how important he is until that pinky toe is either bruised or gone. That's how I look at it. Pinky toe.
Okay.
If anybody has ever stumped their pinky toe, or if they have a pinky toe removed, I guarantee you, you don't think about it as you're walking around. But if you heard it, I guarantee you, you will realize how important it is for balance, how important it is for stability, how important it is for you to be able to walk faster or stop, quicker. You'll realize how important it is. And so again, society has made parenting very singular, very mom-centric. However, 4Fathers, along with collaborating with organizations like the Black Parent Initiative, Kairos PDX, Shifting Perspectives, working with the fatherhood, Black Fatherhood Connected with Brother Royal, Black Men in Training. All of these organizations are doing a phenomenal job of making sure that men are inclusive in each one of those programs, but also to being seen out in the community and changing the dynamic of how we view those dads and view those men. So hope that answered the question.
Okay. That's a good question, good answer. Last thing is to give everybody here maybe three different ways that they can engage or support 4Fathers. 3 different ways.
3 different ways.
Yeah.
Showing up. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Some of y'all I'm meeting in person for the first time. The rest I've either had conversations with through virtual or met through a friend or even saw it on social media. And so I think tonight exemplifies, if you build it, they will come. And I appreciate each and every person that is here. I hope that we continue to grow because now each person in here is going to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that 4Fathers is here. But not only just that, I want to be able to support your guys' activities as well. And so please, if you have something, we can exchange information before y'all leave here today. But DM me on social media. I have Instagram. It's the Roman numeral 4 Fathers. So Roman numeral 4 and then Fathers. And then also on Facebook, 4Fathers, the number 4 and then Fathers, and then on LinkedIn. So if you don't get my information before you leave here, you can still look me up on social media. But that's one of the things that I want to make sure that we continue to do is show up and grow whatever we've started. Number 2 is that we continue to change the narrative about what it means to be a Black father. We have the data, we have the information, we're doing the job. We just need to continue to push that forward. And so show up in as many spaces as we can, when we can. Every time I go to some type of seminar, the men are outnumbered. There's probably maybe 10 men, and there could be easily 150, 200 women in those spaces. We got to start showing up. That's just the reality. And then lastly, it's cool to be healed. It's cool to be whole. So if you're struggling with anything, get some help. Reach out to somebody, anybody, get some help. Because again, myself, I'm just like, all right, tough football player, came from Lauderdale, hood, all of that type of stuff. I thought that I was looking sexy, but I was really sick. And that's crazy because for me not to even realize that I was completely stressed out. It took me almost to pass out before I realized that something was wrong. And we want to do better than that. There's a few guys in here, Tay Logic Fitness, and then the brother right here, what's your name again? Moja. Fitness guys in here. Chef, cook up some great food. Again, I'm going to always shout out anybody that I see in the room because that's what it's all about for me. It's not just about what can I do if I'm going to accomplish something. It's about how can I connect the next person to the next person. That's my movement. That's what I want out here in the Pacific Northwest and the rest of the world.
Thank you. And I got a shout out. If you don't have life insurance, talk to Henry Cross over
Henry
there.
Cross.
Because that's the other thing we have to do
Health
is
insurance.
well, health insurance, but also life insurance. I got my life insurance through Henry Cross because we also have to think about the legacies that we are leaving, and we don't want to leave people in bad situations. So think about that also, and take care of yourself. Health too. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody for coming here. I think that let's give them a hand. We're doing good work, and I have to say that just on a personal note, you know, one of the things that people don't always do is like they have an idea and they don't make it happen. And you know, we had a whole conversation one day because Patrick was doing really, really well in his industry and he had no passion for it. And I don't know how to live without passion. I don't know how to do that. And I'm like, so what would it mean for you if you did something that you were passionate about? And he was like, yeah, it would be much better. And I was like, so what are you passionate about? And he was like, dads. I'm passionate about making sure that dads get there. I said, why don't you do something with that? And he was like, I will. And he did it. And I'm really, really proud of him. Everybody doesn't have the courage to do something like that and to shift industries like that. It's a struggle. It's hard, but you have to have some faith in what you're doing and to know that you have purpose in what you're doing. And it's really impacting people. It's transforming lives. And any work that you're doing that's doing that one thing, Patrick is a collaborator. He has not ever been a person who wants to beat anybody. And I think in Portland, we have to remember that there can be multiple, it can be integrated, it can be supported. We're not each other's competition, right? I try as many times I can to connect with other parent organizations, and people get so afraid, like, well, are you going to take what I've got? I don't want to take what you have, but if we come together, we build so much more, and I promise you, and just to be completely transparent, the Latino community has this clearly understood, okay? And when we're talking about resources, they're collaborating. They're coming together. They're bringing their organizations together. And that's so, so important that we do that. So I appreciate all of the organizations that are represented here in a spirit of collaboration. And when you come together, you have power. Just on the last note, the Early Childhood Equity Collaborative, for instance, in the early childhood money that comes down from the state is a tiny sliver for early childhood. The sliver for culturally specific early childhood is even smaller. So we were all fighting for our little crumbs in culturally specific early childhood, and just crumbs it was. Fighting for the crumbs. Our crumbs are more important. We came together in a collaborative. When we came together in a collaborative, we were able to leverage our voices and use those collective voices as political power to lobby for more money in that sliver. That sliver is a little bit bigger because we all came together. It didn't take away from us. It gave us more, all of us. So think about it that way. And again, I appreciate you guys coming and being here.
Thank you.
Any questions? Any questions, comments, whatever have you? Again, I'm happy, man. I'm excited that everybody showed up. And you know, again, I look forward to having more events like this. And so if people continue to show up, I'm going to continue to make sure that these types of events happen. So I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Any questions? Anybody got any questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
And that is the demographic is your target demographic. Are they single parents? Are they families? Who are you reaching out to?
So great question. So the demographic, we primarily target Black fathers. However, we don't discriminate against any other men. So we actually have some guys that participate in our weekly groups that are not fathers. And a lot of guys are looking for camaraderie. We're getting ready to go into a season in Portland where it's raining, it's gloomy, guys start isolating, and suicide rate starts to increase because people don't get connected and stay connected. So 4Fathers wants to make sure that, men, regardless of whether you're a father or not, that you come join. You can be white, Latina, whatever have you. But we target Black men because we have the highest disparity out of all those groups. And we do co-parenting. Yes, sir.
At the same time, brother, this is not a rebuttal to what you just said, but I think at the same time we need to create a space where Black men can communicate and talk without having the white gaze without having that part, because everybody ain't for us and things like this. And then I want to be a part of a mentoring component, because as a grandfather myself right now, I'm looking for other grandfathers and stuff like this, and so I'm looking at that part too in life.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you can speak to that mentoring part, I appreciate that.
For sure. So if you want to be a mentor, just reach out to me and we'll get you set up. Also, from the white gaze perspective, our weekly groups are all black. We have one Hispanic gentleman that joins the group periodically, but for the most part, it's all black. I mean, I feel like when they see my face on a flyer or something, most likely it's going to be people that identify with me anyway. And so when I say I don't discriminate, I don't discourage anybody from joining, because at the end of the day, we have to be inclusive in order to get certain agendas that we're trying to have. But I recognize where you're coming from. And again, just by default, majority of our participants are going to be black men. And that's what they are right now. So anybody else? Once again, I want to give a huge shout out to Brother Lance Randall, Black Business Association of Oregon. This building is his. I like to say it like that. I like to say it like that. But again, very good brother. He's been someone since I've been here and trying to get connected. He's done a phenomenal job in helping me. My board president, Brother Dave Shepard, has a very good reputation, but also I guess he a cool dude. He all right. But we have a lot of conversation, and he's always encouraging me. Don't give up, man. Stay consistent. Pushing me, to the edge to make sure that I keep focus on 4Fathers. He checks in with me periodically. Hey man, how's it going? How you doing? And so I appreciate him. Once again, Brother Nolan, great guy. He's been here from the beginning. Once again, when we talk about collaboration, black men in training, Brother Nolan has been showing up to support 4Fathers ever since like day one, from the beginning in our groups. So I appreciate him. I feel bad that I have not been able to make any of their events. The 3 that I tried to make, something, I don't know what happened. But again, I appreciate him. My partner, of course, I appreciate the Black Parent Initiative. Brother Royal, me and him are going do something together.
Yes, sir.
I'm putting him on the spot, and I'm putting me on the spot to make something happen. I'm putting him on the spot. And Brother Deshad, Omega Psi Phi, I'm putting him on the spot too. I've been working with him to try to get the Q Dogs out here in these streets, so that way we can do some collaboration. Brother Wes, I appreciate you, my guy. Levante, again, all of these guys that are in here, I'm excited because this is a movement, and I believe that it is. Hopefully this won't be the last gathering that we have, and we'll see what's going to happen from here, but I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you.